Welcome to Mom's True Tea, the podcast where moms can spill the true tea on various thought-provoking topics and challenge beliefs about motherhood and life authentically, unapologetically, and without judgment. I'm your host, 𝐾𝐨𝐲. Have you ever seen those moms that absolutely adore and swoon over their sons? I mean, they do it so much, it borderlines on looking like that son is their husband, partner, or close friend. I know some of the moms are really about to come for my neck with this one, but sis, he is not your man. He's not your man. Let's talk about this not so secret topic about moms who treat their sons like their husbands. You know what I'm talking about, the ones who expect their sons to be their emotional support, their decision makers, their partners in crime, their bestie, everything another man or partner should be to that mom. That's not your son. But let's keep it real. This really can mess up young men in more ways than you even realize. So buckle up. We're diving into why moms who are treating their sons like their partners or husbands need to be more self aware of this and take some steps to end it, especially this type of relationship. So his future wife won't end up as a side chick because you're giving main chick energy. And I'm not judging. I just want my sister moms to be more self-aware. I did notice that often these dynamics happen between a mom and a son when the moms aren't in solid relationships themselves. That's just a fact. Because if you were in a healthy, loving relationship as a woman, as a mom, you wouldn't rely on your son to become this person to you. I know you're also asking yourself, why does this topic even matter? How does it align with Mom's True Tea? Well, it matters because it's about protecting the mental health and emotional development of both the son and you as a mom, girl. It's especially problematic when the son grows up and gets into relationships. And I don't think these moms really recognize that because they're so self-absorbed in a way that they're more focused on the relationship between them and the son versus how this is impacting the son. So let's look at the problem. What does this look like? It looks like a mom who relies on her son for her emotional validation, her physical validation, which makes it weird, sharing personal and intimate thoughts and details that only should be reserved for a partner or her homegirls. You're expecting your son to be the man of the house, taking on all these roles or responsibilities far beyond his age at sometimes. Like I know men whose moms had these type of relationships with them and they still contact them to this day to come over to the house and do certain things or expect them to always be readily available for them, even though they're in relationships or they're married now. It looks like the mom guilt tripping them. When he tries to finally set some boundaries, like when he spends time with his own wife or girlfriend or his friends, she has an issue with it. She's going to make him feel guilty. She's going to make him feel bad. And let's go back to the part where you're talking about he's in a relationship with another woman, or that's his wife. Some of these moms get so territorial and jealous that they become combative with his wives. They make their lives really, really difficult. And I have even heard things like they're trying to fight these women, that's some nasty work. That's just some nasty work. It's wild. It's the kind of mom who says, girl, I don't need no man. I have my son. And all I can say, sis, that's not your man. It's not your man. And then we have to think about how it affects the sons when you're treating them this way. It affects them in so many ways, the emotional aspect of it and the strain that it places on this child or man And he becomes an emotional crutch instead of being able to develop a healthy, independent relationship. He might also grow up not knowing how to have proper emotional boundaries in his own relationships. I've never treated my sons like they were my husband, like they were my best friends, because they are their own individuals. And not only that, that shit is just weird, bruh. Like, let's keep it a buck. It gets really, really weird and uncomfortable. And I never saw the need to do that, although I was in a very toxic marriage initially. And then even when I got divorced, I was trying to discover myself. So I wasn't interested in trying to form that type of relationship, making them the replacement for my ex husband. I want my sons to be their own individual person, live their own lives, establish their own relationships. And I have boundaries. Therefore, I need to make sure that they're able to have those same emotional boundaries in their relationships. It can stunt their emotional growth. The son may struggle with developing his own identity, especially when it comes to, like male or female dynamics. He may start to feel some resentment or confusion because he's trying to balance his role with his mom and also balance his own personal life. And again, especially when they're married and the mom is either unhappy, she's a helicopter mom, or she does not have her own healthy relationship. This is the type of man who ends up calling his mama before making any decisions, because now you have enabled him in some way. He will call his mama when it comes to buying a house, what color socks he needs to put on with his shoes. No grown man should be calling his mom asking if navy blue socks are gonna go with black shoes, because baby, they don't. I can tell you that right now. And don't call me. I used to tell my younger son, who got into the habit of calling me from everything, and he kind of has this love-hate relationship with me. He wants to call me, he wants to get my advice or my input or my opinion, but then when I give it to him, he gets upset, and then that turns into a whole nother thing. And we'll talk about that on another episode. But I used to tell him constantly, you have a girl. Talk to your girlfriend. Talk to your baby mama. Talk to everybody but me. Because I'm not your wife. I'm not your girlfriend. You don't need to call me for every single thing that's taking place in your life. And I know some moms might disagree because they're like, oh, that's my best friend. Well, I'm not best friends with my kids, but that's just me. That's my journey. Like, we cool, but we are not best friends. Therefore, I do not need you to tell me everything. And then, as I've stated within this episode, consistently is the impact that this type of dynamic between a mom and her son, it impacts his adult relationships. They'll have conflict with their own partners over their moms, because it's like, I'm married to you. Your wife is stating the issues that she has with you not setting boundaries with your mom. And then on the other hand, you're like, but that's my mom. But what you have to understand is when you get married, your spouse becomes first above anything, anybody, everything, and everybody. And I think when you know that, that would help a lot of these men be able to navigate these dynamics. And again, setting boundaries. Because, like I said, when the son becomes an adult and he gets into serious relationships, this dynamic will create friction between the mom and the son's partner. The mom might feel threatened by his partner, and the partner might feel like she's competing with the mom. Again, you're turning your wife into a side chick, and your mama is having main chick energy. That's weird. Then there's an unhealthy attachment the son develops, because it's unhealthy for his mom to carry on like this. And then what happens, he carries this unresolved guilt if he tries to prioritize his romantic relationships, or if he tries to set boundaries. And then he may even sabotage his own relationships to avoid disappointing his mom. And that's not fair to him. And that's not fair to whoever he's in a relationship with. And then that mom is definitely going to make him feel guilty at all times. It kind of borderlines on manipulation. No, it doesn't kind of. It is manipulation. And it is some form of narcissism, to be completely honest, since we love overusing that word in 2024. You heard of mama's boys, but this type of relationship takes it to a whole nother level. Imagine you being a girlfriend and your man mama is out here acting like she's auditioning for Real Housewives. Sis, there's no room for you at the dinner table. It's just me and him. If it's a table for two, please, ma'am, do not pull up. Do not pull up. Do not. Just exit the group chat. Okay? And then there's some long-term consequences like emotional stagnation. These sons end up having trouble committing to a partner or setting proper boundaries. This has been echoed throughout this episode. They may seek relationships that are similar to the dynamic they have with their mama, repeating this toxic cycle over and over and over. And then in some cases, quiet as it's kept, these sons, they actually may become estranged from their mamas because worst case scenario, he cuts off communication with his mom entirely once he starts his own family, once he starts to set those boundaries, once he recognizes, which is first and foremost, that relationship between me and my mom is not healthy and it's causing friction in my relationships, then nobody wins in that scenario. So, what are some ways that you should be trying to break this cycle or at least have some self-awareness, mom, so you can move around and protect your own mental well-being? Think about that. Reflect on your emotional dependency on your son. Where's that coming from? Like, where is it coming? Is it coming from abandonment? Is it coming from your own trauma as a child? Is it coming from a traumatic relationship? Is it coming from the lack there of having a relationship? I think you need to do some self-reflection and really be able to understand why this codependency and this relationship with your child is something that you have to have in order to feel fulfilled, instead of you cultivating more balanced relationships outside of your son. Because it's crucial to let sons grow and make their own decisions and not try to manipulate them in any way, control them, and not allow them move on their own journey in the way that's positive for them. Like, and for sons, hey, listen, I hope some of you guys will listen. Some of you moms, maybe let your sons listen to this, or maybe let your husbands listen to this. Remind them to set boundaries with love and feel no guilt. I know that's hard because when it comes to mamas, some men have a very soft heart for their moms. But if you want peace in your home, set boundaries. Set boundaries and do it unapologetically. And I encourage you to seek some healthy relationship dynamics that aren't based on emotional obligation. Like, if you have to have this emotional obligation to your mom, meaning just because that's my mom, I have to go by what she wants me to do. Just because it's my mom, if my marriage isn't working and she's telling me to go home, knowing that I'm miserable, don't do that. That's crazy. You have to set boundaries. Or if she's all in your marriage business, you need to remove that. You have to, based on your obligation to yourself. Moms, he's not your therapist either, girl. He's your son. Let him go. And sons, stop acting like it's the end of the world if you tell your mom you need some space, you need to back up, or mama, you need to mind your own business. I pride myself on minding my own business. Like, it is my duty to mind my own business. I don't get in my son's business unless they bring it to me. And even when they bring it to me, I'm like, that is not my business. When you see this face, just know I pride myself on minding my business. That's just what it is. You're a grown man. Act like it. So again, tell your mama you need some space or you got to create some boundaries. Listen, this dynamic is unhealthy. It can be for both of you, the mom and a son. And let me emphasize for the 1000th time throughout this episode that boundaries and independence are crucial for your growth. It does not mean that you don't love your mama. It does not mean that you no longer want to have a relationship with your mom. It just means that you and your mom need to have a safe, non-codependent, boundary set type of relationship so you can move in a healthy way, and so can she. So, moms, I challenge you to think about your relationships with your son, or both, on both sides. Both of you think about it and ask if there's a healthier way to interact with one another. Breaking these patterns, it is possible, but it takes honesty, and it takes effort, and it takes respect from both sides. At the end of the day, a healthy mother-son relationship, it involves love, respect, boundaries again. So let your son be the king of his own castle. Let his wife or girlfriend be the queen of her own castle without you trying to sit on the throne. Okay? All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so blessed to have a community where I can show up as my most authentic self because I don't know what else to be. Don't forget to favorite the show, leave a review, and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite streaming platforms to stay up to date on new episodes. Subscribe to my newsletter at momstruetea.com. Follow us on all socials at MUMSTRUETEA, and be sure to share and stay tuned for more thought-provoking topics and real talk on Mom's True Tea with 𝐸𝐿. Until next time, remember, you need you just as much as anyone else, so stop playing about you, okay? Bye.